Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Today is not a beer tasting because it's only Thursday. What I am actually doing is talking about a film called Once Bitten, made in 1986, was it 86? Sorry, 1985, directed by Howard Storm, screenplay written by Jeffrey House, and it stars a very young Jim Carrey before everybody knew what a Jim Carrey was. Predates In Living Color. I think he only has one major, not major, but more serious film credit before this. I think it was before this. He was in one of the Dirty Harry films, and but this was his first leading role. It also stars. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes here. I didn't rehearsing this. I didn't put notes everywhere. And no, I'm not a Terminator. That, as this eye might indicate, that does actually look pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, but it's obviously just a reflection of my lamp here. I'm just doing this lazy at my desk instead of over where I normally do it. And I don't know. I just didn't feel like setting everything up over there. It's a pain in the ass sometimes. And yes, I still have that mattress in the background that's been there for a few videos. But since the cat has sort of taken it over as something to sleep on and play on, we've been keeping it around for a bit until we get around to throwing it away, and nobody wanted it. There's nothing gross about it, we just wanted a new mattress. But anyway, that being said, it also stars Lauren Hutton as the Countess, Cleavon Little as her maid and butler Sebastian, and everybody who knows who he is. A little flashy here. Sorry about that. He plays the sheriff. I can't remember the actual character's name from Blazing Saddles, which is one of the funniest movies ever made. If you've never seen that film, I do recommend going and checking it out. It is the funniest thing you'll ever see. Very offensive by today's standards, but if you're not easily offended snowflake, you're gonna think it's the funniest. You're gonna love it. It's a great movie. Also, Karen Kopis as the love interest Robin Pierce, and but as a minor character as Stuart Charno. I think that's how you say his name, as one of his vampires, and he was the kind of goofy character from Friday the 13th Part 2. Speaking of which, tomorrow is actually Friday the 13th based on when you watch this. So I will be watching that in the cinema. The first one, not the second one. But anyway, let's see. Basically, it's a teen comedy vampire movie where a countess she needs to stay young. In order to stay young and beautiful, she has to drink the blood of drink the blood of a virgin, and she has to do it 3 times with the same person. So Jim Carrey turns out to be that virgin that she has an interest in, where he comes across her, or she comes across him. Him and a couple of his friends, they sneak out they're trying to get laid for the first time. I don't know if they've gotten laid. She just picked him over the other 2 guys, probably because he's Jim Carrey, and picks him over the other 2, and they sneak out to try and get laid at some place in Hollywood, some singles bar where they got phones on the table that are shaped like lips. It's actually kind of a fun scene. And she gets his attention, and he ends up going home with her that night, and he wakes up the next morning not knowing what's going on, and apparently she had bit him, drank his blood for the first time, and then she meets him again later on, and it just sort of goes from there. But it is a fun kind of movie to watch on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon when you got nothing else to do. And this is really getting on my nerves. I should have brought out the other lamp that would have lit up the background, so I apologize for that. Apologize for my laziness. But anyway, I'm just trying to think what else I was going to just say specifically about the movie. I know I wrote a few things down, but anyway, yeah, that's basically the breakdown of the film. He gets caught bragging to his friends about what happened, and his love interest girlfriend, she breaks up with him, and then it just kind of goes from there. He apologizes, the usual 80s thing. It's funny, he's 22 years old when he made this movie, and he says at one point, he goes, "I'm a teenager. I'm supposed to screw up," which, it's just the funny thing that most teenagers in movies are not played by teenagers themselves. Is very rare. I mean, everyone in Greece was like 60 or something like that. Well, they were in their late 20s, early 30s, so they were old. But we're not talking about Grease right now. We're talking about Once Bitten. But anyway, yeah. So it's just kind of a fun interest. Fun. What's wrong with me? I've been up for like 14 hours so far, which isn't a full day of being awake. But I also worked all day and I'm a little tired. But anyway, yeah, it is an enjoyable movie. It's kid friendly. There's no nudity in it, no swearing. There is a couple 80s style, I guess you could say, homophobic references, but it was just the time the movie was made. I personally don't find it offensive. I mean, I got a lot of gay friends that would watch the movie and wouldn't be bothered by it at all, just considering when the movie was made. But aside from that, it's a lot of fun to watch. It's an easy watch for kids. Or I don't mean children. I mean, like teens. I remember I didn't realize I'd seen it already until one scene came up and Jim Carrey pops up behind a clothing rack and he wiggles his eyebrows around. And I remember seeing that, go, oh yeah, I remember that from that scene. And then it clicked in. I did see this movie. I remember watching it with my parents. So, but my parents let me watch anything. They didn't care. So, but there is a few Jim Carrey-isms, I guess you could say, in the movie. It's before he was being all wacky, like doing the his shtick, the In Living Color kind of humor that he was doing, the parodies and that sort of thing. And then when he was getting to Ace Ventura and The Mask, and he was doing a lot of his body humor, his facial movements, he was doing a little bit of that in this film, but not quite to the extent he was known for later in life. I think this is when he was still doing stand-up for the most part, if I understand correctly. And but he does a few things. He does it's before he was known for all his not imitations. What's the word when you impersonations? That's what I'm saying. Impersonations. He only does one quick one at Blink if you missed it, doing Robert De Niro, just for a second. But he does a few some of his body movements that he's known for, because he's very flexible. I think he's double jointed everywhere on his body, so he just does one thing where he holds his leg up like this and starts playing it like a guitar. I think that's stuff he was doing on stage, part of his act as well. But just a few notes here. The actor Jeffrey House, he had spent after the movie was made and before it was actually released, he had spent all the money, and ironically, he actually had to get a job at a video store. He got a job at a video store. That's the irony. And the movie had just been released, I believe, or something, or someone had just seen it, and they were talking to him, said they didn't know who he was, and they said whoever made this movie should not have a job in Hollywood. And he looked at her and yelled at her and said, well, you got your wish, lady. So a little funny humor there, a little bit of irony, and then he went on, of course, to do other things. I didn't write him down, and I don't know any off the top of my head, but I did look it up and go, okay, I know that, I remember that. Anyway, the original vampire lead was actually going to be done by Cassandra Peterson, also known as Elvira. She was, it didn't pan out. Probably a money thing, because Elvira is pretty popular at the time. And after that, Morgan Fairchild, another actress who turned down the part. And Kathleen Turner was also offered the role and turned it down. I think Kathleen Turner would have been really good in the role too. I mean, in the 80s, she was something. I mean, she was incredibly attractive in my opinion, and really good actress. Sirens. Okay. Anyway, yeah, and she could do comedy, she could do action, she could do serious, dramatic stuff. So I think she would have done well in the role too. Also, originally the idea was pitched that having Michael J. Fox playing the lead instead of Jim Carrey, and I think like it was before he was doing movies. I think he was still doing Family Ties, or he just started doing Family Ties rather. But they didn't believe that Michael J. Fox could carry a leading role in a movie. But as we know, that is not true. He does it very well. But yeah, so that would have been interesting. It would have been a lot different seeing Michael J. Fox's style of acting versus Jim Carrey's. Both are good at comedy. Jim Carrey's obviously a little bit more little better at it, I guess you could say. And this was before he was obviously way before he started doing his serious roles that he was doing later in his career. Um, and did it really good. I really liked him as this character. Anything else here? I had and there's a few unintentional cameos by Friday the 13th cast. Like I said, Stuart Charno was the goofy guy in part two, curly haired guy. Sort of gets lucky and survives the movie because when all the people that went back all got killed, he was one of the people that stayed at the bar. If you've seen part two, they all go to the bar for one last night of partying, and he doesn't come back, so he survived the movie. Also, Carrie Moore, who was in the final chapter, as there's two twins that were in the cabin with all their friends partying, getting high. He was one of the two twins that, or she, sorry, she was one of the two. Yeah. Oh my God, I haven't watched a movie in a while. But yeah, she was one of the two twins. That's what I'm trying to say. For some reason in my head, I was thinking like a guy, but it's like I don't remember that. It was the two girls, and Dominic. And I'm going to say this wrong, but Brascia. Anyway, I know the character well. Everybody knows the character in part five with the fake Jason. He played Joey, who puts the candy bar down and takes the axe to the head, which triggers basically the entire movie. Basically, him getting killed is why the movie happens. So, more of a main character than you realize. So yeah, there's that. The movie came out in 1985. Didn't get its DVD release until 2003. It's not a very popular movie, and it only rates about a 7, not even a 6, at least on IMDb. I didn't look it up on Rotten Tomatoes. I would rate it probably about a 7. I think and I'd probably watch it again, maybe not anytime soon, but it's definitely a good movie for a Saturday afternoon when you got a couple hours to kill. I know it's on Tubi, but I'm sure you can find it elsewhere. And so yeah, I recommend checking it out if you're a big Jim Carrey fan, because it's still part of his library, his filmography. So if you've never seen it and you're into Jim Carrey, check it out. It's a decent film. It's not boring. You're not sitting there like, oh, this movie's terrible. Don't really have much more to say about it. I just threw this together real quick because I was actually watching the movie on the bus ride home from work today and yesterday. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll talk about this movie because I actually kind of liked it. But anyway, if you watch this all the way to the end, if you've seen the film and you want to comment below, please do. And you want to like the video, it's not really the greatest video, I apologize. But if you want to subscribe, I do have other videos. And want to subscribe and help me get up to 1,000 subs, just a little goal I've been setting for myself. And I would really, really appreciate that too. And the next video I do will probably not be sitting here with just this little lamp and this lamp up here and an old ass mattress behind me. But then again, maybe we'll. I don't know. We'll know when it happens. Anyway, until the next one, bye.